Well, this is the scene here from Trafalgar Square as marchers begin to arrive. They started off within the last half an hour over at the US Embassy over at Grosvenor Square. As you'll see, many of them holding placards. The main reason for this march today, it's one of more than 600 taking across the world, is for women to join together to start a discussion about the protection of women's rights. It follows concern from many different groups, including lots of people who are here today, about the Trump administration and what that might potentially mean for women's rights. Let's have a chat with one of the organisers, Kimberly Espinel. And Kimberly, just take us through how this started, because 10 weeks ago a group of strangers got together and now it's turned into this.
Indeed, we were just 9 women, ordinary women who, without any political affiliation, we got together, found each other on Facebook, decided to start this march, and it's just, snowballed really.
Absolutely, and you must be very pleased with the turnout today. Thousands and thousands of people deciding to come out onto the streets. What was the catalyst for you in deciding to get together, as you say, complete strangers coming around and organising this?
Well, I think 2016 was an incredibly difficult year. We saw lots of dirty rhetoric in terms of politics around Brexit, but also the presidential campaign in the US, really very divisive, lots of hatred, and we just felt, we needed to counter that with something else.
There's a very defiant mood here. How would you describe the atmosphere?
I think this is just so uplifting, inspiring. This is grassroots the way it's supposed to be.
And how did you feel? I don't know if you watched President Donald Trump's inauguration yesterday and whether you listened to his speech, but what did you make of it all?
I didn't listen to it specifically. I made the decision not to. I'm not that interested, if I'm honest. I think what I find is that his rhetoric is incredibly divisive. That's been his tactic throughout, and now a change. I'm not going to be fooled.
What is your message to the White House?
I don't have a particular message to the White House. My message really is to the people here. Get involved, be active, take an interest.
But what is the point of today's march then?
We had 2 real issues. One was to march together in solidarity with those in Washington, D.C., but across the world. That was number 1. Number 2, we wanted to allow people to come together in unity, to stand up for human rights, for equality, for dignity, and for the safety of the planet.
Now, if people are watching and they've got any questions, then certainly they can feel free to send them through to you. But speaking to a lot of people in the crowd, they were saying to me that it isn't just a dissatisfaction with the things that they were hearing from Donald Trump. It's more than that. What are some of the other women's issues that people are wanting to be highlighted today?
I think there's still lots of inequality, especially among the sort of ethnic minority groups, refugee, immigrants. That's an ongoing issue. Lots of people are here because they're concerned about the planet, the well-being of the planet, climate change denial now coming to the fore again.
We're starting to get lots of questions through. Let me bring you on from Layla, who asks, why are women in London worried about women's inequality?
Well, if there's inequality anywhere in the world, we should be concerned about it. Inequality is a global issue that requires a global response.
A question from Craig, who's asking, how many people are taking part. I don't know how many people you would estimate are here, but there are thousands and thousands of people. Just sort of, as I look across the crowds, it's very difficult to put a number on it, but the turnout is huge. You say phenomenal there, more than you were expecting?
Definitely. As I said, we started this just 10 weeks ago, 9 of us, and I think our message has resonated. People want to be part of it. They want to come together. It's been amazing.
Troy asks, shouldn't they be marching towards women's rights in countries where they truly have none? Like he says, like Troy says, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and other places without women's rights.
Well, there are marches in 70 countries, and there are marches in the Middle East as well. I think women's issues and inequality take different shapes and forms, and they're an ongoing concern for everybody.
Not a question, but just a message from Peggy, who says, thank you, ladies, and stay safe. Stephanie Kelly says sisters doing it for themselves. I saw a banner earlier on with that sort of sentiment, really. And let me just ask you about the fact that this is a women's march, but there are plenty of men here as you look across the crowds, lots of families deciding to come out.
Any gender reassignment, whatever, everybody was welcome, and that was a really important message for us. So yes, it's a movement spearheaded by women for everybody.
I mean, in a few moments, we might actually have a chat with some of the other people in the crowd who can maybe tell us why they've decided to come along. I mean, I was speaking with a family earlier on, a young mum. She was watching some of the women who were dressed as suffragettes, and she was explaining to her little one what suffragettes were, and then explained to me that it wasn't just a frustration about Donald Trump, but she also wanted her daughter to experience what a march like this might be like. Have you come across lots of other people in the crowd saying similar things?
Definitely. So we saw this on Instagram as well. We asked people to show us their marching shoes, and there were lots of tiny little shoes of children coming out for the very first time. My son is one of them. This is his first march.
Oh, right. How old is your son?
He's going to be 7 next month.
Okay. Let's just check in with a few more questions. Kelly says there has never been gender equality in the US, but glad the new administration can be the cause of women rising up against inequality. Prempa asks, what difference do you think this march will bring?
What we want, what our desire is for people to use this, wake-up call to start getting engaged and involved in your community. Help those in need, those with maybe disabilities, the elderly, start taking part in politics. This is an inspiration, a start.
One of the things that President Trump said in his inaugural speech yesterday was that his election has meant that the power has now returned to the people, and there was an emphasis on the people in his speech. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, his politics only serve himself, so let's be very clear about that. I do hope that we can use this as an opportunity, as I said, for us to get back involved, back interested, but his politics have nothing to do with politics for the people.
All right, Kimberly Espinel, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Kimberly, just one of the organisers. Let's meet some of the people in the crowd who decided to come along, including, we did mention earlier that there are plenty of men who decided to be here. Hello, hi, what's your name?
Sergio.
Sergio, where are you from and why are you here?
Well, I'm from Spain. I have been living in London 5 years, so I quite include it in the British life. When I'm here, basically, there is 2 reasons. One is I'm quite concerned about what the future is going to come regarding politics. We know about USA, about the power that he has in foreign affairs, and these measures that Trump would like to develop are quite hard for European inequalities and as well for women as part of the inequality of the society.
What sort of a difference, though, do you think people here in London can make about policies over in Washington?
Well, I think Washington has a huge impact in Europe as well. So I think a social movement, to create a social movement, becoming more independent from Washington and developing the idea of a social equality would be a good pressure in order to avoid USA to develop this inequality and develop these politics that could be against of the citizens.
Let me share with you what some people are sending, some of the comments people are sending in to us on our Facebook Live page. Anne-Marie says, I'm proud of all the strong and beautiful women of this march. Ryan says, gender inequality doesn't exist. This is liberal left's false narrative. So he completely disagrees. What do you make of Ryan's comments there?
Well, I think women inequality is a fact. Actually, we live in a strong women inequality. Women don't have the same rights of men, and as well, unfortunately, we live a lot of episodes of gender violence and a lot of things. So I think it's a huge problem. I think it's something that everyone, males and females, we need to understand at the target to get inequalities.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts today. Let's talk to someone else in the crowd who's decided to come along. Hello, hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Deborah.
Where have you come from today, Deborah, and why have you decided to be here?
I live in East London, and I've just decided to show my voice and stand up for what I feel is right, and it feels really liberating being here, actually, like so many people here. We're here in peace. Everyone's calm, but...
And for you, is it Donald Trump that is the main reason for you being here? Or some people have said that for them it's about highlighting women's rights in general. What was the main reason for you coming out here today?
I think he's brought it to the forefront, hasn't he? He's said a lot of controversial things about women, and it feels like actually we've got so far, and we don't want someone like that to sort of take it away or feel like we're having to step back from any of that. So
some people might say, he, despite what you think of him and whether people agree or disagree with the things that he's been saying, he was democratically and fairly elected.
Yeah, he was, but 3 million people more voted for Hillary Clinton, but it's just the way that the US system is set up that he got the more popular vote.
As a woman in 2017, how confident do you feel, and what are the issues or challenges, do you think, moving forward? It's a big question, I know.
Yeah. I think just to know that we do have a power as people coming together, and yes, he's in power, but I think what's liberating is that lots of people have come forward to stand up for who they are and what they believe in. And
we're getting reaction on Facebook. Let me read to you what Jennifer says. Jennifer is saying she feels this is pointless. Put your effort and energy into causes you support. Giving Trump attention in any way just validates his ego. He's going to look at... You disagree?
We're giving ourselves attention instead of him. He's the one getting all the media, and now we are. And we're saying something different, so... That's my voice. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So they're just some of the views of people who've decided to come out and march here in London. More and more people arriving, thousands and thousands of people here on the streets here at Trafalgar Square. And at around 2 o'clock there will be a rally to wrap this up. This, of course, being one of more than 600 marches across the world.